Hello, welcome back to my channel Coder Vlogs. In this video we will cover Flutter riverpod, which is a new state management approach. Before this video I create a video on GetX. GetX is also a state management approach. So why we are creating this video? Because GetX is good for small size project and medium size project, but for large size project GetX is not good. For that riverpod is good, so that's why we are creating this video. So what is the outline of this video? We will cover these 4 points. First of all, we will know what is state management. Second, we will talk about what is the best state management for large project, which I already told you. Number 3 is provider versus riverpod. We will do brief short comparison and difference. And the last one is code example. I will implement riverpod in a code, giving you example. So what is the difference and comparison of riverpod and providers? First of all, both riverpod and provider are state management library. Both are same, right? The difference is that a riverpod is a complete rewrite of a provider package. If you don't know about provider is recommended by Google, and it is a state management library, but it has some drawbacks, cons we will discuss later. So why we need new version of provider? We need provider new version because it has some drawbacks, and it is morning, so please ignore the noise in the background. Okay, so provider, let's talk about the drawbacks in provider. Provider is dependent on widget tree, and this is the widget tree. I am giving you example. So this is my app and this is provider, and you can see here there is a sign in page and provider of database. If we use this database provider below the home page, it will work fine. But if we use this database provider below the sign in page, so it will give us provider not found exception at runtime, not compile time. So this is a very big issue. This is because provider is dependent on widget tree, and which cause this issue. So similarly, if we use this provider auth at below the sign in page, it will work fine, and below the home page it will also work fine. So basically what I want to say, that provider is dependent on widget tree, and which cause provider not found exception at runtime, which can be very headache, very problematic in a large project. That's why riverpod is developed it, which is a complete new package, but it is a rewrite of a provider package. In a provider package you have to write too much boiler code to achieve a simple thing, which is a not smart way, not smart solution. So riverpod also reduce that boiler code, so you have to write now less boiler code to achieve state management, right? Sorry, one thing is missing, that what is state management. So basically in every application we have user interface. So user interface has states which depend upon the user events, user interaction. With user interaction, the state of the user interface, the UI of application is changed. To manage it properly, we need some approach. So that approach is called state management, right? So it is all about UI state managing. Okay, so I already told that in before that GetX is good for small and medium size project, but for large size project I recommend you to use riverpod, right? and getx is already done in my channel. I already covered this topic, so you can check my previous videos. So there is a warning here that riverpod is a learning curve. So that's why I will divide this topic in many videos. I will not cover everything in this video because I don't want you to be confused, to have any doubts. So I will just cover simple things in this video to give you the momentum, and step by step we will cover its complex part so you can learn easily without any doubts. So now let's come to the code example. I already create a simple project. This code is by default when you create a project. So first of all, we will add here the library of riverpod. So let's open the browser. So let me tell you first, this riverpod is not required for your project, right? This will not work. For the library you need is, you have to click on the readme, then click on the flutter riverpod, right? You have to choose this one, right? Not this one, the second one. You have to choose second one. Just click on here, and then you have to copy the line of importing the library. So this one, you have to use this one library, not riverpod. You have to use flutter riverpod library. Just click on installing, then just click on it here, and below here you have to add this line, right? So if you use this one library, so it will not work, right? So you have to avoid this one, the second one, and you have to use the first one. Now just first import the library port, then riverpod flutter riverpod, right? Then just remove this constant, and let me show you from document. First of all, we will use provider scope. What is provider scope, I will tell you, but first use it in the project. Keep this child, okay, make it constant. Okay, so what is provider scope? It is a widget that store the state of all the provider we create. So it store the information of all the provider that we create. It keep the provider global, so it is not dependent on a widget tree, right? So this is the first thing we do. For now, what we will do is, we will convert this simple counter application into using the riverpod state management approach. So currently this project is using set state as to control the state of the UI, which is not good because it consumes so much memory, so much resources, and also it leaks the memory if you use so much set state method. So we have to avoid this to maintain the performance of the application. So we have to remove this set state, and we have to add riverpod to control its state, right? This is something we will do. So first of all, I will just replace this stateless widget with consumer widget. Let me show in the document. So to create a stateless widget, we will use consumer widget. To create a stateful widget, we will use consumer stateful widget. So this is something you need to understand, you need to know. So like at here, we will create a provider, simple 2 line of code, but we will do that later. First of all, let's uh, change the stateless widget and stateful widget for the riverpod. So I just remove the stateless widget with replace that with consumer widget, but it require one parameter more in the build method, which is widget ref. That's it. At here you need to add one parameter in a build method, and that's it. Okay, at here we have stateful widget, so we have to convert that with the stateful sorry consumer stateful widget, right? So at here we will see here error. So just convert stat with the consumer stat, and similar convert stat into the consumer state. So error is gone, right? So we just convert the stateful and stateless widget into riverport widget. Now let's create here the provider. Just copy this line, so now I just create simple provider with the name of counter state provider, and at here we will use ref is a global variable. We will use it frequently in a riverpod architecture. Now let's remove this one, right? We have removed this two thing. We just remove the method of increment counter and counter variable, right? So at here it will give us error. So this code will watch or listen for provider. Suppose I want to listen for this provider. Just copy this, paste here. So I want to listen for this provider, and like any changes in the provider will be reflect at here, and I want to use this counter at here, right? If I need to update this provider, I need to write this line of code. Let me explain that what it do. First of all, let's create a method like I already told you that ref will be used frequently. It is a global variable, and it is in the riverpod architecture, right? This is the name of the provider we create. We will use notifier will update the thing, and state will increment the value. Like it is int, so it will increase its value. So you will be a little confused here why we are using state, why are not we are using its like variable name. So you will these things will be removed, this confusion will be reduced when we do more examples, and I will keep this thing more easy for you in next videos. So for now, just assume that I just create provider here with the name of counter state provider. Then I watch and listen for that provider, that if provider is updated, so that update will be reflected in the UI, right, directly. Then when I update that, so I have to use the global variable ref, and I will use read, not watch. To update we need to use read method, then I use the provider, and then I use notifier is very important to update the data. and state will increment and decrement the state of the value, like the value, it will increase the value or decrease the value. Now let's run the application to test it. I know it's your first time, you will have the confusions, you will have the doubts, but it will be reduced when I cover more example in next videos, and I will come up with more easy methods. This is to give you simple idea that what we need to implement the riverpod. So now application is run successfully. So when I click on this button, so the provider state is updated, right? And then I am watching for the provider to update. I am listening for the updating the provider. So when the provider is updated, so it is directly reflected in the UI, right? So this is what we done in this video. So this is quite simple example, but the few things I am assuming you will not understand, like how I create this provider, what is state provider, and like this thing I will keep this thing easier in next video, so you will understand it more clearly. So thank you for watching my video and see you in next video. Bye bye.